everybody in the White House is a tech bro except for Trump. They all need semiconductors. They all come from Canada.
We're in for a rough ride. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. Today we got some new polling data, which is going to favor Mark Carney. There's no way it doesn't here. We've got fallout of what's happened here with Donald Trump and Mark Carney not being able to make a deal. Let's jump into this. Starting this episode off from CBC, we've got effectively we're out of business. U.S. tariffs cut Manitoba honey farm off from a vast majority of customers. As it says here, the Podolsky honey farm sells 90% of its honey to buyers in the United States. We're going to see numerous businesses just get wiped off the map here. Donald Trump coming out with this tweet showing Canada wants the benefits of being a state without being one. They've also charged our great farmers for many years massive amounts of tariffs. No more, President Donald J. Trump. Now here's a breakdown of the different sectors, the different provinces that are going to be getting hit the worst by all of this.
You get a sense of some of the impacts here. So plastics and rubber products manufacturing, when it says minus 4.6K, 4,600 jobs could be lost. For instance, transportation looks at about 5,000 job losses.
Wow. Yeah, the trickle effect is amazing when you really expand to see the true effects and impacts here.
36,000 jobs in Ontario could be lost. Quebec looking at a loss of 18,000 jobs. BC, 11,000 jobs. Alberta, 9,000 jobs. Look, I can sit here and I can say to you and I can say to folks, oh, you're relatively well off in this particular province. But if you've lost your job because of these tariffs or previous tariffs, of course it matters to you. If you are a small honey producer, honey is being impacted here. You and I have talked to people in the honey industry, producers whose entire business is gone now because of these tariffs. That is a very personal thing. For you, the impact is 100%.
We've seen from previous reports it's anywhere from 90,000 to 102,000 jobs being lost. You can see they didn't break down these ones, but 6,200 in computer electronic product manufacturing, 5,100 jobs in textile and clothing, leather product manufacturing. I don't know what Trump's doing here. He's basically pushing us into the arms of China. Like, China is the biggest enemy of America. And by doing this, it's pushing us towards, and it's giving Carney the reason to push us towards China. Now, I know why Trump is doing this because he favors industries where he's got big donors. He's got people to repay, essentially. I mean, they'll say they're shoring up their critical sectors, steel, aluminum, etc. But he's got people there that had his back, that he's got to get their back. Automotive is going to be booming in America because of this, but at what loss in America? That's the question. What are they losing to gain one sector? Are they losing 2 or 3 or 4 over here? As a whole, America's economy is still going up and Canada's is going down. So really, but Canadians are not looking at that, just like blaming everything on Trump instead of placing the proper amount of blame on the Liberals for destroying our economy for 10 years and then Trump coming and then dropping this on us. It's a 1-2 punch. So RMC 86 got the numbers per provinces here. Ontario, 36,000 projected job losses. Quebec, 18,000. BC, 11,000. Alberta, 9,000. Now, with all that said, how are Canadians reacting to this? We got Angus Reid with a new poll here. It says, overall, based on what you've seen, read, or heard so far, do you think Canada did the right thing or the wrong thing by refusing the terms being offered and ending negotiations without a trade agreement? So N equals 1,468 people for this poll. 76% said Carney did the right thing. 13% said did the wrong thing and he should have made compromises, and 11% not sure. So most people are on Carney's side here. And Carney knows this. They got data and they're like, yeah, we can do this again and then go to an election. I think they're going to election in September because they don't know the outcome of Trump's midterms. And if he loses power, they lose the boogeyman. So here's the polling data across Canada. So 76% total across Canada, 77% support in BC, 67% support of what Carney did in Alberta, 56% Saskatchewan, 72% Manitoba, 73% Ontario, Quebec 85%, the highest here, and Atlantic Canada 84%. We got this one here. How much control do you think Canada really had over whether an acceptable trade agreement was reached with the United States? In the blue sections down here, a fair amount of control or a great deal amount of control, and basically over 50-60% of Canadians saying there was not a lot of control. I mean, Donald Trump holds the power, so there's not a lot of control, but we had leverage. We had to use all of it at once, and it needed to be used at an opportune time. Carney should have been wheeling and dealing and making good relations with Trump and waited for that opportune time. And that is actually right now, because Trump is dealing with an absolute madhouse of what's going on in Iran. He can't get out of there, and that's going to just devastate his midterms. It's basically proven that Iran's got power over the world with the Strait of Hormuz. They can block not only oil, gas, but helium, sulfuric acid, other things they produce over there that is so important to the rest of the world. And Trump can't get out of there. Like if he pulls out now, it looks like a failure. So he somehow has to sell it to Americans and basically say like, look, we got rid of their military. We're going to get out of there. We're not going to put our troops in harm's way. Like that's the only thing he can really do. Or he can put troops on the ground and do what they did in Iraq. So he's kind of stuck. So he needs a win over here. If Carney had done things right, he could have got us a very good deal. Probably got the tariffs down to almost nothing, 5%. But of course, all he did was inflame the situation, insult Donald Trump. And here we are today. He's using it for his own political advantage. This one here says, which of the following comes closer to your view of Carney's approach? Liberal, 95%, conservative, 43%, NDP, 76%, and total 69%. So what is this in regards to? So the red is here. Carney showed poor judgment by allowing negotiations to fail when making further compromises could have protected Canadian jobs and the economy. The blue is Carney showed strength by refusing to accept terms he believed. Like Carney is milking this whole elbows up thing here because at this point, people are so saturated with Donald Trump just writing posts and the market swinging up and down and affecting our country. People are hating that one guy has so much power just to swing and pull our economy around. They're tired of it. They're tired of Donald Trump. So just the simple act of defiance of Mark Carney, people are willing to just get on board and back that. This one has Canada's announced it will respond dollar for dollar tariffs on the US. Thinking about circumstances, would you say Canada's response is, so the gray in the middle here, which is the majority, 62% overall, 53, 60, 71. This is about right under the circumstances. So most Canadians think this is about right. You've only got 12% saying it's too weak. Canada should retaliate more strongly against the United States. And then fluctuating 12 to 19% of too strong. Canada should reduce or remove some of retaliatory measures. And then black, some people not knowing. People just want retaliation. That makes life more expensive on us. Carney's going to make life more miserable for us. So things will just get worse and worse and worse. And then go to an election and say, don't worry, the next time around with a 4-year majority mandate, then I'll deal with Donald Trump. And people are going to believe him. How concerned are you, if at all, about the impact of the Canada-US trade dispute on your own job security? And you've got about 70%, 56% overall saying unconcerned. Very concerned and concerned are these red ones down here. So we're talking 27, 18, 18, 10. So anywhere from 30 to 40% of people are concerned about this. This one is how concerned are you the impact of the cost of goods? So most people concerned about the cost of goods here. We're talking like 90%, 89%. Canadian economy as a whole, that's almost 90% as well. The economy in your province. And so it just goes down from there. Jobs in your community, your investments or savings is around 55, 60%. Your household income, 50%. And your own job security is the lowest one here at 28%. Overall, do you think Canada did the right thing? So this is broken down into very concerned, concerned, and unconcerned. And even under the very concerned, you've got 26% saying this is the wrong thing. Canada should have made more compromises. Most people are backing what Carney did here. How confident are you that Canada and the United States will eventually reach a trade agreement? I don't think there's going to be any trade agreement before Trump's gone. Like once Trump is gone and there's somebody else, it doesn't even matter who it is. It'll be somebody else. Then an agreement will be made because Trump likes to bulldog too much with these trades and really wants to have like 2/3 of the deal and then the other side gets 1/3. He doesn't want to do the 50-50. And Carney relishes and his political fortunes hinge on the fact of not getting a deal. In reality, if Pierre Poilievre was in power, he could probably make a deal that's pretty close to 50-50. Maybe it would be 60-40 or 55-45, but it would be pretty darn good for Canada. But Carney's not going to do that. And most people here not confident, about 50-55% of Canadians not confident a deal is happening. This is interesting. Ezra Levant replying to Laura Stone here, who's got a list of documentation from Doug Ford's office. This was dated August 17th, basically Ford pushing back with retaliatory tariffs. And not only that, once again, throwing everything on the table. He says the reliable supply of energy, critical minerals remains two of Canada's most significant strategic advantages. Electricity, energy, and critical mineral infrastructure should be viewed as Team Canada's assets to contribute to Canada's broader negotiating leverage. This guy once again wants to throw electricity on the table. It's just insane. You know, if they cut off the electricity in Ontario, which gets sent down to Michigan, then they're going to cut off, was it line 5, line 6, the pipeline that comes up through Sarnia? They'll cut off the oil that feeds the entire east coast of Canada. Like there's no logic in this kind of reasoning here. Like America just has more leverage over us. Carney should be getting rid of the 9 bad laws. They should be approving 5 new pipelines and new LNG facilities. We should be building new leverage to use against the Americans. If Donald Trump wants to play these games, then we'd have more leverage to play these games. Over on CBC here, they bring on Lisa Raitt.
And Dominic LeBlanc yesterday, and she said she wasn't told anything more than what the Prime Minister told the public in his speech yesterday. yesterday, but she did talk about what the worries are right now among businesses. Have a listen.
There are many businesses across Canada, small and medium-sized, who woke up that morning going, I don't know if I have revenues anymore. What am I going to do with my bank? How do I make payroll? How do I look at
Her saying that, people don't know if they have the money to make payroll or pay the bills, like that hits home. I know what that feels like. That's what people are living through right now across Canada. They don't know if they can make the bills or is it time to move to America, move their company there. That's what people are thinking about.
my employees? So there's a lot of concern. So I think the Prime Minister moved as quickly as he can to give assurances to Canadians that, okay, we understand what's going on and we're going to have some programs in place. He really can't stall on that.
And she says the goal of these programs has to be more than just saving jobs, but actually saving industries. And she says the programs will need to be more tailored than previous supportive industrial support programs, because these tariffs will not hit all industries, and nor will they hit the industries that are being hit uniformly across them. Now, in terms of Canadians in general, remember that the U.S. tariffs now in effect mostly hit American consumers buying Canadian products. So if Canada's counter tariffs do go into effect September 8th, that's when prices here will go up.
That's right. Prices will go up. Life will become more unaffordable in Canada, which we can't afford. It's already too expensive. So what's Carney going to do? Is he going to cut the industrial carbon tax, which increases the price on everything in Canada as an emergency to help Canadians? I don't see him making an announcement cutting the industrial carbon tax because it benefits him financially with his Brookfield Global Transition Fund and his Brookfield long-term shares, stock options, all of it. You know what's most interesting about this polling data and that Canadians 76% saying that Carney did the right thing? Based on what? That's what I want to know. Based on what? There's no deal released. We got some leaks here and there, 50% tariffs on steel down to 25 with the quota and stuff. We don't know if this is all verified. Release the documents. Conservatives actually came out today and asked for that. Release the terms. Let's see what deal was turned down, because that's the only way to really analyze the situation. Otherwise, what, we're going to trust Mark Carney, the guy who I have a Carney lie tracker for on my Moose chart? The same guy here who said that Canada supplies the US most of their semiconductors, which is a straight out lie?
Biggest supplier of semiconductors. We supply almost all their semiconductors. That whole, everybody in the White House is a tech bro except for Trump. They all need semiconductors. They all come from Canada. Maybe they won't. Maybe one day they won't show up. We'll see. You'll see what they're thinking.
He is so full of crap. In reality, you can see right here, integrated circuits. This is semiconductors in the US, the imports here. Mark Carney said we supply America with all. Well, no, Chinese Taipei. This is Taiwan supplying 10.1 billion. This is for 2024. Next, you've got Malaysia, which is 24%. Taiwan made up 27.9% of the imports to America. Then Israel. We've got China. We've got South Korea, Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand, Japan, Singapore, Mexico, Ireland, Germany. Where's Canada? It's down here. Canada's down here at 0.93% of the semiconductor imports into the United States. It's a blatant lie by Mark Carney. He's done this numerous times. Why would we take him at face value? What happened in those trade negotiations? Why don't we look at the documents ourselves?